This is Daybreak on Trust Television, and this is the newspaper review segment where we get to show you the front pages of select national dailies and the stories that are on it. Of course, I have the copy of the Daily Trust with me as is customary. We now quickly go to the lead story on the Daily Trust, which says, "What we lost during protest, traders, transporters, over 5 billion naira worth of goods looted." This is according to a Kano businessman. Our supplies truncated. Borno Yobe traders. Also, we are caged in Jos. Curfew relaxed in states. These are some of the stories, of course, from these states coming on the heels of different curfews that were announced across different states in the country, all in efforts to reduce the carnage and looting of both public and private properties across the states. Also, another one says federal government suspends plan to sell 40,000 naira subsidized rice to civil servants. And also, former CAF president Issa Hayatu dies at 78. We still have other stories on the front page of the Daily Trust. Another one says Niger pit collapse. 4 more bodies recovered after 2 months. Atop the page, we see hunger protest. Disquiet as security operatives raid NLC headquarters. Also, 25 die in Bayelsa Jigawa boat mishap. And also address poverty or compromise future generations. Action Aid tells federal government. These are some of the stories on the Daily Trust. We now go to the Punch newspaper. The Punch leads with the hunger protest. Victims' families recount ordeals, demands bailout. Gombe, Kano traders, Katsina churches count losses. Borno families relieve pains. Also, APC opposition clash over NLC secretariat invasion. Vehicles burnt, gas explodes in Lagos filling station. Naira closes 1,596 to $1 as forex inflows hits $25 billion. Top of the page says NNPCL demands 4.7 trillion naira petrol imports refund. It also adds that forensic audit of 2.6 trillion naira NNPCL subsidy claims still ongoing, according to a fact panel. Also, Dangote refinery designed to process Nigerian crude, according to its CEO. And now these are some of the stories on the front page of the Punch. And now to the leadership. The leadership on Friday says, amid hardship, northern leaders want foreign trips suspended. Say savings can revive textile, steel companies, want all businesses transacted in Naira, address hardship, ADC tells president. Also, 5 die, 15 missing in Jigawa boat mishap. Elsewhere, 20 die in Bayelsa boat explosion. APC women write Tinubu on appointments. Top of the page, Trump-Harris agree to debate on September 10. Protest. Mothers cry for justice over Katsina killings. And the last paper now, which is going to be The Guardian, the lead story there says White Elephant projects. Billions in drains as Southeast struggles with abandoned mega projects. We see, of course, a pictorial there to illustrate these. Also, Nigeria's $20 billion budget can't fast-track development, far below global peers, says Bagudu, the Minister of Budget and Economic Planning. Also, federal government halts sale of 40,000 naira subsidized rice to civil servants. We see another story there that says Afenifere kicks against Igbo must go threat, divisive rhetoric. NLC decides response today as DSS denies invasion of headquarters. Talk about the back and forth between the NLC and the DSS over the raid of its headquarters here in Abuja. Manufacturers decry 1.5 trillion naira FX transactions. Losses in FX transaction losses in 6 months, of course. Supreme Court order on direct funding of local governments enforceable across Nigeria. Ozekome insists. Also, marketers hopeful of Port Harcourt refineries August deadline. Well, they're hopeful, but of course it's left to be seen how that's going to turn out, whether these refinery will be prepared and ready, to begin to meet up with the daily fuel consumption demands of Nigerians or not. But then again, I have in the studio someone who joins me to review the paper, talking about the editor of 21st Century Chronicle, Nuruddin Abdullah, who has decided this morning, I don't know, for some reason, to join a school of thought that likens to that of the Niger State governor. Good morning, editor. So perhaps you should tell me the secret behind this cap and, of course, the sketch.
It's a mere coincidence, like I said last week.
It cannot be a coincidence because you are donning this cap and also you're wearing Skechers, which is reminiscent of the governor of Niger State. But we'll talk about that, of course, much later. Now, talk about victims and families affected by this protest that we saw break out across the country. This time, they are calling for justice. How would you describe the situation? I mean, the Nigerian military and the Nigerian security agencies have come out to say that they used minimal force within their jurisdiction, to as much as possible to control the situation. But what are you hearing from up north?
I think the security agencies should not be allowed to investigate themselves. That we're talking about a realm of fairness and justice. If you remember what happened during the presidential press conference, where the minister or the head of the agencies, the police in particular, denied killing any protester across the country. Hours later, the military admitted that indeed there were fatalities, and they even announced the arrest of one of their personnel in Zaria for the alleged murder of that young boy. So I think Nigerians will be happy if the president set up maybe a sort of inquiry over this. Many people look at him as an activist. We know him. He knows, because until 2015, he has been in the opposition right from the military days. So he knows what injustice means. He was exiled. He was hunted by agents of government during the military days. So he knows the bitterness of injustice. So Nigerians believe that, yes, coming from that background, there should be justice. There should be justice.
But talking about justice now, we saw what happened with the different panels that was set up to investigate, the fatalities that was recorded during the EndSARS. We saw how the turn that took across the different states in Nigeria, where we saw those panels. Largely, a lot of those panels ended up inconclusively. So, are you certain the Nigerians at this time would get justice?
So what we are saying is this. EndSARS was, during the EndSARS crisis, it was done during the Buhari's era. Buhari was a military dictator. He was never a pro-establishment person. But President Tinubu is coming from the civil society background, the opposition background. He fought for democracy. So he knows what injustice, particularly meted by the people in government. So Nigerians are expecting him. You remember Comrade Shehu Sani said it during the Democracy Day. You are an activist in government now. So we want to see the difference. We want to see the difference. Assure Nigerians. Give them sense of belonging. At least by doing the needful. Investigate the military, the DSS, the civil defense, the police, any personnel found wanting should be disciplined according to the books. And it will serve as a deterrence that if you are a personnel law enforcement agent with a rifle, that doesn't give you the right to just use it anyhow.
Indeed.
You understand? So if he does that, it will go a long way in deepening confidence, particularly in this aspect, rule of law, justice and fairness in the minds of Nigerians. That, okay, he was an Adeko chieftain, he was an AC chieftain. Well, it's like court orders. He is the biggest victim of court orders during the Obasanjo days.
Editor, you see this deepening confidence in the government. I really want us to, double down on this conversation, especially because we've seen the circular with the federal government suspending the distribution of rice subsidized at 40,000 naira to civil servants. Does this deepen confidence in the government?
We don't know why they suspended it.
Not yet.
And see, the president, he has been a private sector person. So he should know better. There are certain things that you don't need to rely on agents of government. You don't need to rely on civil servants. This same 50 kg rice, I spoke with somebody in Niger. It was repackaged. And see, the person that got it was a former local government chairman. They got, is it 5 kg? With the poster of the governor planted on it. And what have you? A immediate past local government chairman in that local government. So I was telling that person, okay, if the local government chairman will get 5 kg, immediate past local government chairman, what of his deputy? Maybe deputy should be half, maybe 2.5 kg. What of the councillors? Maybe councillors 2 or 1 kg. What of an ordinary man on the street?
So how does this deepen?
What I'm saying is this: the president should look outside the box. There are credible Nigerians. It's a simple thing. No need of giving rise to governors.
So don't you think that this is now in one way or the other pushing out these narratives that governors at the subnational levels cannot be trusted? And how is this good for Nigeria's democracy? I mean, when it's now beginning to seem like the governors are the problem.
They are substantially the problem. The problem, more problem is for Tinubu, who was a governor, who understands this thing, to equally repeat the same mistake Buhari did. Buhari kept on channeling bailouts in billions or in trillions to these governors. Some of them left government houses without even settling salaries. Go to Kogi, for instance. Go to Benue, for instance. They were paying, is it pro rata, percentage. Not to talk of pensions and gratuities. So this, you should devise another way. It is not a constitutional thing that when you want to share palliative, you must use the state governor. I understand that there is 2027. It's a politician too. But Nigerians are angry. The governors are not being accountable. Very few of them. Look at it. Subsidy was removed. Good. The fund doubled or tripled. States that were hitherto receiving, let's say, 3 billion are now receiving 6 to 7, but with nothing to show for it. This should stop. The president should think outside the box. You are sharing palliatives, 50 kg. They ridiculously sharing 5 kg to politicians. What of the men on the street?
Okay. Now, are you concerned that a lot of the issues have still been left unattended to, especially considering the fact that curfew were hastily declared in states due to the breakdown of law and order? The president seemed to have addressed Nigerians and addressed that a lot of Nigerians are very, very, very not comfortable with, and they still continue to grapple with the rising cost of commodities. They still continue to grapple with some of these pressures, the rising cost of transportation and the likes of that. Are you worried that we might see at one point a sequel of all of this development?
I think there is a recurrent problem. Our politicians don't learn. The way they are handling President Tinubu is the same way Buhari was handled for 8 years. That speech was needless. It was, what do you call it? It was a monologue. Nothing new. Like in newspaper, you can't, it's stale. What he says is stale. We all know. What is new? Most the speech, how many pages?
It was 38 paragraphs.
For what? He can say what he wants to say in 3-5 paragraphs. What is new? Again, prices of commodities will just not
Reduce
drop
and disappear.
overnight.
Indeed.
But concrete measures, it's simple. Borders have been opened, right? Waivers have been granted on some food items. If there is a way the government will be involved in importation of food items to crash the prices, President Tinubu should do that. The irony now is these people don't hold their local government chairman, their governors, their senators, their commissioners, their House of Reps members into account. Everybody is saying Tinubu, 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 Tinubu. He should know that he's an executive president, the buck stopping his table. So he should devise a way. It can't happen within a week. If in the next 1 month we can see elements, yeah, the prices are crashing, he should find a way of doing that. And he should know there are certain opposition elements that will not fold their arms. It's an opportunity to key in. Unlike in other climes, where the moment the president is sworn in, he becomes the president of the country. Politicians, even though they're in the opposition, will rally
will have access to him.
They can only offer constructive criticism. It is different ball game here. Mr. Segura has defeated me, so how can I sabotage him?
I did not defeat you.
you know, so that's the
okay.
So you should be aware of that. Effort should be concrete effort. What we had on Monday was a reaction of the speech. The president was wrongly advised to read that, to waste his time, to waste Nigerian times over that. And more importantly, he should find the way, if he is sharing rice, please, he should find a way of sharing his rice.
Since he has decided to share rice.
To share rice at least. Not through the governors. If you actually now go to Kaduna, show me one single person on the street that benefited from that rice. Even there. Look, there is a page 3 advert in your paper. A state government from the northeast is denying, it's accusing a minister of the Federal Republic. We have given you rice. No, we did not receive rice. You remember the you were there, you are not there.
We still have issues, I mean, with all of these denials and not denying and all of these problems. But then again, don't you think it sort of puts the government in a bad light in the eyes of the citizens, because it's giving this feeling of same old, where the government just comes out and make pronouncements and then there's nothing to show for it?
Yes. What many of the protesters are saying, even some of them very educated, is the reversal of the subsidy, which I don't think that is possible. Some believe that maybe as a result of violent protests. I was telling a friend, I think, I said, see, yes, Sheikh Hasina, you know, they were emboldened by what happened in Bangladesh. Sheikh Hasina was chased away from the palace. I told him, let's look at this news. On the day she resigned and fled to India, over 100 protesters were killed. And the protest took weeks or more than a month.
Indeed.
So, and she was there for 15 years.
Around 15, 20. So it's a different
dynasty. Mujibur Rahman, her father, was the founder of Bangladesh. And look at how she took the citizens, the way she was even addressing them in derogatory, Darazakar, saboteurs, and what have you. That's what angered most of the students. And again, the protest in Bangladesh was headed by students and civil societies, not here. That even some of the politicians are even afraid to be identified with the protest. Unlike what happened to Occupy Nigeria, where NLC and some prominent figures were there. And that's why there was violence here. Because politicians are even afraid. Yes, you can only criticize Tinubu in your bedroom. But when you come, because you are a visitor to EFCC, you have so many business interests. So these are the issues. So my understanding is this: if the president will look outside the box, concrete measures that will yield food in the next 2 or 3 weeks, particularly to crash the prices of food.
All right.
But not through your brothers.
Not my brothers. I'm not a governor. But then again, you're the one looking like the governor of Niger State. I mean, Editor Nuruddin Abdullah, thank you so much for your contributions of the program. On the program, it's always a pleasure to have you, and of course, have you share your perspectives on these developments.
Thank you so much
for having me. Hope to have you next week Friday as well, of course. And then, viewers, that wraps up the program this morning. I do hope you've enjoyed the program from the start up until this point. Of course, if you missed any part of the program, do well to follow us across all of our social platforms and also catch our live stream on YouTube for more news programs and documentary. Thank you so much for watching. My name is Sagir Ibrahim. Have a lovely day.